A very quick update on the aggressive portfolio. So currently today the aggressive portfolio was up 3.40%, and basically these two positions that I'm in is a 2x ETF, which is in Bitcoin and Netflix. So what are my thoughts for Bitcoin? So basically for me, honestly, I think that Bitcoin, I think it's doing pretty well. It approached this 50-day moving average on the monthly chart. And if it can maintain itself on that 50-day moving average, we could see more upside towards, we could see more upside. Looking at Netflix, let's look at Netflix. Same with Netflix. Basically, Netflix approached the 50-day moving average on the monthly chart. It wanted to break it, but it's hanging in there. So honestly, I see Netflix, if on the daily chart, if it can break above the 9 and 20-day moving average, we could see a huge reversal to the upside. I personally don't think that Netflix is that bad, and honestly, they're not spending a lot of excessive money on AI and etc. like these other companies like Google, AMD, and Nvidia. I feel like eventually, once the spending gets a little too much for those companies, I feel like that's when their quarters are going to start reflecting the numbers where they don't want the numbers to be at. They want them to be a little bit more higher than previous quarters, but that's not going to happen, to be honest with you. I just feel like it's just going to come to a big turnover. I feel like that's what's going to happen. I feel like once people start noticing that these AI companies are spending way too much money and to like investing in the next big thing, which is AI, I feel like you're going to be disappointed with when they start reporting quarterly earnings, and then the numbers aren't going to reflect what they wanted it to be because they're spending so much money. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just feel like eventually the market, I feel like sooner or later there's going to be a huge turnover where everyone's going to start going back into these familiar companies like Netflix and etc. And everyone's going to switch out from these AI companies. It's currently happening right now. That's what I see. I see that let's see like Nvidia, for example. Everyone switched out of Nvidia. Nvidia's all the way down here now instead of being in the 236 range, 220 range. Intel, for example, reported earnings yesterday, and they took a huge hit yesterday after hours. So they did pretty good when they reported earnings, but then they just all that fizzled out towards the during the after hour market, and then pretty much the whole day just Intel just fizzled out, like as if earnings wasn't that good basically. So I don't know. I just feel like sooner or later, eventually people are going to start switching to these dead companies, or companies that are have been beaten a lot. So yeah, I just feel like eventually everyone's going to switch to these other dead companies. So the next thing I do want to talk about is how did the market do today. So looking at the market, so today, let's see. So the market, basically, it was kind of like choppy. To me, it was choppy, if I'm being honest with you. The 9-day, like the moving averages, they weren't really that helpful, to be honest with you. The reason I say that is because you could have played puts here on this 1030 candle, and you could have sold out as soon as the next candle went down, but I don't know. I just feel like it was too choppy for me, to be honest with you. And so I was like, I don't feel like, playing in the market today, because it, by the looks of it, it's just super choppy, and the moving averages, to me, weren't that helpful, I guess, today. It was just like all over the place. So that's why, the market was a little choppy today. I personally feel like if this, Iran war continues, we're going to see choppiness in the market. Currently, SPY is currently below the 9, the 20, and 50-day moving average. Currently, it's below the 50-day moving average. Could we see, potentially more downside? I don't know, maybe, but we'll have to see what happens, to be honest with you. So I don't know. I just feel like we could see more downside eventually. That's the way I see it if this Iran war is still going on. And I think I saw that also that our oil reserves are at our lowest point. So I don't know what's going to happen with that either. I just know that recently gas prices have been up like crazy all of a sudden, because this Iran war is, back again. So we'll have to see what happens. So, and moving on to the $1,000 paper trading challenge. So basically, what I want to do is basically the other day I had put $595. This is paper trading, by the way. So basically, I did that amount, right? And basically, I bought hood put options. I bought hood put options at 14.55. So looking at hood at 14.55, 14. So this candle right here. So basically, as soon as hood, Robinhood approached the 20-day moving average, I waited for a rejection. Basically, after that rejection happened, basically I swinged it out to the next day, and basically you can see that this swing led to a huge gain the next day. Basically at 9:42 when I sold out the position, I made $363 trading, Robinhood put options. So basically I want to start it over, right? So basically Monday I want to do like a series or a challenge or whatever. Basically we're going to start with $1,000 and we're going to try to grow it to $2,000. We'll see how that goes. Honestly, I don't have much faith that it'll last, but we'll give it a shot. So I want to see if, because eventually what I want to do is I want to, actually use a real $1,000 and go from there. You know what I mean? So let's see how that would turn out. But I kind of want to practice that way when I actually trade using $1,000. I don't, dumbly lose it. So I don't even know if that's a word, but basically I want to practice. I want to show you guys, what my thought process is. That's basically what my thought process was with Robinhood. I just basically wanted to swing it to the next day, and basically this trade was going to expire on the 31st. So I had plenty of times to, make money, but basically the next day it made that huge move to the downside. So it was up 61% up on the position. So by the way, this is just paper trading. This is not real, so I just want to keep you informed on that. So we'll see what happens from here. That is pretty much it.